Our first supergroup in the domain of eukarya is the excavata or excavates, and these are characterized by a few distinguishing characteristics, but generally it's a monophyletic clade that we have figured out thanks to DNA sequencing and genetics. So molecular data actually supports this as a clade with these three clades inside of it. The characteristics that they have in common are kind of a basal flagella, as well as most of these groups either lack mitochondria or they have really reduced mitochondria. They get the name excavata because some of these have what looks like an excavated. So an excavator is that truck that digs in the ground. So they look like they have a feeding groove kind of dug out of a side of their body. There are three groups, and each of these is a monophyletic clade. We have the Diplomonads and the parabasalids, which are sister to each other, and then the euglenozoas. So what do you need to know? You need to know all three of these names, and that these monophyletic clades belong to the group Excavata. The Diplomonads and the parabasalids are sister to each other. They both live in anaerobic environments, so places where there is no oxygen. And this works okay because neither of these have functioning mitochondria. The Diplomonads have mitosomes, and those are not able to do aerobic restoration. And the parabasalids have hydrogenosomes, and they're able to produce some energy without oxygen as well. Both of these groups can include some common parasites. So Giardia intestinalis is a common, so that's right here. That's a common intestinal parasite of mammals. A parasite in the parabasalids is the Trichomonas vaginalis. This creates a sexually transmitted parasite. So what happens here is this parasite makes its way into the vagina, and it usually gets its pathogenic activity from other bacteria because it's able to pick up pathogenic genes, and those allow the protist to feed on the vaginal lining, which causes irritation and pain. The third monophyletic clade in the excavates is the euglenozoa. Notice that some of these are photosynthetic, so these would have been the result of one of the secondary endosymbiosis events. There's a huge variety in the way that they feed. Some are heterotrophs, some are photosynthetic, some can do both, and then some are actually parasites. Their distinguishing features include their flagella, and we're not sure what the function of the crystal rod in the flagella is, but many of these individuals actually have this. Inside of this, we have one group called the kinetoplastids, and inside of this, we have an example of a parasite in humans is trypanosoma, which causes African sleeping sickness, and it's spread by the tsetse fly. So this is the parasite that causes African sleeping sickness. It's about twice the size of a red blood cell, you can see here. It's got a really cool adaptation for evading human immune systems. So what it does, your human immune systems recognize the proteins that are on the surface of these cells. And eventually we adapt to recognize the proteins that mean, oh, hey, we've got a parasite. What this trypanosoma can do is it can actually switch out which proteins it has on its surface. So about only 1/3 of surface proteins are expressed at any one time, and then it can switch them out in its next host. So over time, the host really never gets the chance to adapt to a specific set of proteins, and they're able to evade immune systems. Another group in here is the euglenozoa, like this guy, and these are known for having two flagella. This is actually the anterior end, so it actually moves this way. And these are typically autotrophic in the sunlight, but they can be heterotrophic when it's dark. So that's an example of mixotroph. where they can use light as a food source when there's light available, but when the light is not available, they can switch to actually physically eating.